tell us a little bit about yourself and what kind of books you like to edit?
Oh, wow. So I'm South African. And yeah, for myself, I love adventure. I love hiking. I've been scuba diving with sharks, and I would do it again in a heartbeat.
That's cool.
And one of my lifelong aims is to find the dragon that the Drakensberg is named after.
Oh,
So
cool.
that's one of
Love
my
that.
one of my aims.
Yep.
Books I like to edit. For myself, the more action, the better. But I also love stories that are asking hard questions,
Yep.
especially questions about faith and just
Yep.
trying to reconcile living out faith, but telling it and exploring it through story. I love editing books like that.
Great. So, what are five of your favorite books of all time?
Does The Lord of the Rings count as one?
Yes, we can count it as
Okay, so The Lord of the Rings, definitely. I also really love, there's one fantasy book, it's very little known, but I absolutely love it, called Blackguard's Moon by George Brian Polivka. I
Ooh,
absolutely love the world building. It's got pirates involved, adventure. So it ticks all the boxes, and it really explores the themes of sin and redemption in such a beautiful way. So that's definitely on my list of five favorites. The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. I love that book. It's one of the few I've reread and just absolutely loved it.
it's beautiful.
Oh, two more.
It's sometimes
I
you have to think a
It's
bit.
hard to choose. It's hard to choose.
Yeah.
I think I really, really loved The Mill on the Floss by George Eliot. So
Okay.
classics as well. And I think I would have to say The Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens as a fifth one.
Yes. I love how you
Yeah.
have some classics in there too, because there are so many good classics out there that I
Yes.
think that sometimes don't get enough attention these days just because they're old, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you like recommend that authors be reading the classics and what do you think they can learn from them?
Um, I would say yes. I would recommend that authors read classics.
Yep.
Um, I'm going to distinguish here between classic novels and like Shakespeare, because I have a cordial dislike for Shakespeare, to quote
Okay.
Tolkien.
Okay.
um, but yes, you can learn such a lot from the classics, especially in terms, I feel, of character building.
Okay.
Like Charles Dickens, all his characters were very, very unique and very distinct.
Very true.
And you could very clearly see their motivations and what's driving them and their goals. Um, so it's a great way just to really study developing unique characters.
Yeah.
And also just the language, the richness of it. You encounter words that you have not seen, and it just develops your vocabulary, and it gives you more words that you can choose from in writing your own stories.
Oh, I love that. That's a really good information. Good tip. That's really good. Because they do use a lot of different words, and then you're like, wait a minute, what in the world is that word? Is it even English? And then you have to
Yeah.
go look it up, and I don't, definitely it is a word. Oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
What made you want to be an editor? I know you're a
Oh,
writer
wow.
too, so I'll ask you that question as well. But what made you
Okay.
decide that you're interested in editing and helping people with their stories?
Um, okay, I think I'm going to have to answer this one along with what made me be a writer,
Yeah, go
because
ahead.
for me, the two are so intertwined.
Yeah,
Um, Pretty much I've been creating stories ever since my parents introduced me to them.
that's
It's
lovely.
just when I look back over my life, I have just been stories have always been a part of who I am. So I started writing stories when I was 8. It was like just the natural progression, just one thing to the other. What made me decide to be an editor? I think it was when I joined an online community of writers and offered my first piece of feedback on somebody's work. I was absolutely terrified. What if I get this wrong? What if I say the wrong thing,
Yeah,
point out the wrong thing, suggest something totally off whack? And And the gentleman whose piece I critiqued, he was so sweet, absolutely amazing.
Oh, good.
Just encouraged me. And I think from that, I just realized the more I offered feedback, I realized the more I just absolutely love this. And my family will tell you I am slightly pedantic about grammar. So that was a natural into copy editing. I automatically edit menus when I'm in a restaurant.
Yes.
It's quite bad, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just kind of one thing into another. I just
Yep.
happened into it.
I love that. And I have a very bad habit of correcting the stuff on menus too. It's bad because you just go there wanting to eat something and enjoy the time with family, and all of a sudden you're reading something and it just blares out at you, and you're like, I can't unsee that now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh man, yeah. Oh, what is your editing experience?
Well, I am new to the game. I guess you could say I opened my doors in April, so that's about 4 months ago,
Yeah,
that I got my first paying client in.
that's
Um,
good.
so as to experience, none of my clients have actually been published yet,
Yep.
but absolutely love working with every single one of them and
Yeah.
approaching each new project. And every time I get a manuscript to edit, I just am reminded how much I love it.
I love that because, like, without you editors in the world, the stories wouldn't be as good as they should be. So I love that. And then do you think that your writing, also being a writer on the side of being an editor, do you think that because of being a writer, you're also able to bring something to the table that an editor who isn't a writer is able to bring to the table to help writers out?
Um, I would say yes and no.
Okay.
Yes, in the fact that I understand what it's like to be a writer. I
Yeah.
understand getting those random ideas when you're like just gone to bed, trying to fall asleep, and hey, this is how this would work. And I understand those moments when you're staring at the screen, just going, what now?
Yeah.
What's wrong? I don't know. So I understand those frustrations. I understand those joys.
Yep.
But I would actually say that being an editor has made me a better writer.
Oh, yes.
And it's purely because editors approach stories very analytically.
Mhm.
So we're looking at it going, what is wrong and how should it be fixed? What is wrong? What are some steps to correct this?
Mm,
And where when you're a writer, you're kind of on the other side of that problem. You're on the other side of that question,
yep.
trying to break through. So yeah, yes and no.
Okay, that's a wonderful answer for that. I love that. Perfect. Okay, and then let's see here. What kind of edits do you love doing?
Oh goodness. All of them.
All of them. That's great.
um, yeah. What I really love, if I like just go through the list, what I love about developmental content edits is
Yep.
looking at the story, going, it's not working,
Okay.
and helping the author really finding solutions and saying, hey, you've got a great seed of an idea here. How can you develop that and weave it in over there? And I love looking for those, fitting the big puzzle pieces in. Copy editing, just looking for the grammatical errors and going, okay, is this the best way you can describe this?
That's
Is this really the best word for what you're trying to convey here?
sure.
Really looking into it and catching those grammatical errors and just making it technically correct. I absolutely love all the way through. I really do.
Oh, good. I'm really happy to hear that. That's wonderful. So, for writers that are not really familiar with the types of edits, could you just kind of walk through what kind of edits are out there and what edits you do?
Okay, so obviously, once you finish off a first draft, it's very rough. It needs to be fixed. A lot of the time, I see beginning writers wanting to jump straight into what are known as your copy edits, looking at it on a line by line basis. Are these words working? Are the sentences correct? That's one of the last edits that you want to do
Okay.
because there's a lot of structural changes that you want to make first. So after the first draft, you really want to do what's known as a developmental edit. It can also be called a content edit. where you're literally looking at a big picture, you're looking at the whole story, and you're going, okay, is the plot working?
Mhm.
Are my characters motivated? What are their goals? Character motivations, plot, is my theme coming through? You're really looking at the big picture issues and what needs to change? What do I need to fix? What needs to go? Have I got too many side characters? Have I just got too much plot? And you're just really looking at the big picture. What do I need to fix there?
Mhm.
Once you've done that, you start going deeper. Once you're happy with the structure of the story, once you're happy with how your characters are behaving, if they are behaving, that is, then you start going line by line and you start editing the grammar. You start looking, is this the correct word here? Do I want to grab a thesaurus and look at this word and try to find something different? Have I used the same word to start 3 paragraphs in a row? You start really looking at the nitty gritty of the language and the word you choose. That is your copy editing.
Okay.
After all of that, you get your proofreading. Proofreading is literally the absolute last step before you hit publish. So
Okay.
that's just, you're now satisfied, my grammar, everything is correct. I'm happy with the words I've chosen. Now you're just looking, are there commas that snuck in the wrong place? Have I got the correct punctuation? Is this the correct spelling? You're literally just doing final pass before you hit publish. So right now, the edits that I offer are, I call it manuscript assessment. I haven't done the substantive or developmental editing courses yet. I'm super excited to, though, in the next year or so.
Fine.
So manuscript assessment, what I do there is I'm just looking at the big picture. Where do you need to improve? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What needs to be built up in your plot?
Mhm.
I do offer copy edits and proofreading as well.
Okay. Very cool. That's wonderful. Well, thank you for kind of like breaking that down just in case anybody doesn't really know exactly which ones offer what, but that is so cool. And I bet you're super excited to take those courses. And I love how you
Yes.
talk about it too. You just get so excited. So it's just that's what a person needs in an editor. So, what do you believe are your strengths when it comes to editing? So, these are the things that you find that others might not have, like the strengths that you bring to editing that make you special and unique.
Attention to detail.
Okay.
I've been told a number of times that is definitely a strength of mine.
Okay.
And also, I would say just the ability to really analyze what is happening in the scene, who is where.
Yep.
This is especially in action scenes where you've got a lot of moving pieces, and oh, wait a minute, when did this person turn around?
Yeah.
Are you actually able to reach that particular weapon at this time? And
Mm,
just really looking at going through and just analyzing like the details and
yep.
focusing on just the flow of stuff. And yeah, I would say that's probably my strength.
That's wonderful. That's a great strength to have as an editor. So that's really good. Okay. And then, so do you use a style guide at all when you are editing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. It depends upon the client, upon their location, and also
Oh,
their
sure.
intended audience. So
Okay.
I actually have 2 style guides. One of them, the Chicago Manual of Style,
Okay.
and the other one is known as New Hearts Rules. So
Oh,
obviously, Chicago Manual of Style, US based clients, target audience, where the New Hearts Rules is more targeting British, UK
okay.
conventions. So yeah.
Oh, okay. That's really good to know. That's wonderful. And then, so what tips do you have writers about self-editing their manuscript before reaching out to an editor? Like what they should look into and pay attention to?
Um, Absolutely. First thing you've got to check is, does the story work?
Hmm.
Um, if the story is not working, then you've got to fix that before you even reach out to an editor. Otherwise, you literally are throwing your money away.
No.
So first thing, does the story work? One resource I absolutely love. It is intimidating the first time you encounter it, and
Okay.
it's intimidating for a while after that. Is the story grid.
Okay.
But it just breaks down self-editing, just breaks down analyzing your story so well. I've used it for a couple of my stories now, and what it really helps me see is, are these scenes actually working? So on an individual scene level, is the scene working? Are my characters behaving themselves? Are they following a goal? Is there anywhere where my character is actually not doing anything?
Okay.
So you really want to look out for things like that. You want to find spots where your characters don't have a goal. They need to always be pursuing something. You want to make sure that every event that happens is related to and influences the plot.
I love
Um, you want to also make sure that your theme is coming through the way you want it to.
Okay.
Obviously, if you're not writing for a theme or for a message, then you don't really have to worry about that one.
Yep.
You really want to look at those things. I would also say you want to the best of your ability on a language level, watch out for passively constructed sentences.
Okay.
They're super sneaky, but you want to make sure that you can eliminate as many of those as possible. Look out for paragraphs where you've used the same word and like to start the paragraph, same with sentences. Look out for overuse of the same verb, overuse of the same adverb. Look out for too many adverbs, too many adjectives. To the best of your ability, get the language to work before you start looking for an editor.
That's really good information. I love all that. And I've heard of StoryGrid, and I keep hearing that it's really good. So I'm gonna have to look into it. It sounds like a really good book.
It is. It is. I would actually recommend starting with the website though,
Oh, really?
before
They
you
have a
get the
lot of
book.
information.
Yeah, it's got a lot of the information, but also if you sign up for their email newsletter, Sean Coyne, the developer or the creator of the Story Grid, put together 5 videos just briefly describing it. And
Oh,
so you'll then get those via email and just be able to get a nice overview of what the Story Grid is.
yeah.
And then you can start digging deeper from
Oh,
there.
wow. That's really good. Thanks for that. That's a really good reference. So like, do you use any other reference, like writing slash editing reference books that are helpful that you think
Oh,
writers would be able to glean information from?
wow. I would say I might just have to check the name.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Um, it's by C.S. Lakin. She's also an
Oh yeah.
editor who writes.
Yep.
And so she's got one book that's for free, Writing the Heart of Your Story.
Okay.
Very beautiful, just developing your theme. The 12 Key Pillars of Novel Construction by C.S. Lakin
Oh,
has really, really gives a very, very good overview of what are some very key things your story has to have. So those books I highly recommend. And the Story Grid, when it comes to editing, just take it slow. It is a lot of information to digest. Um, I also recently purchased and read a book called Story by
okay.
Robert McKee. So that's actually the backstory there is that Sean Coyne used a lot of Robert McKee's like language and things to develop the Story Grid. It is targeting more the screenwriters and film writers and things like that,
Okay.
but the principles of story are the same.
Yeah.
Um, just a side note, a warning to your Christian viewers: they do quote some movies with some swearing, some
Okay.
disturbing content. So just do be aware of that.
Okay.
I would say that those are like the top books that I would say are really, really great just for getting down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. That's great. Thank you for recommending those and everything. I always feel like it's good to find new like references that are helpful, like have been helpful to other like writers and editors out there. You can glean so much information from a book.
Yes, absolutely. And the beauty of a book is you can go back to it and
Yeah.
something that you didn't realize you needed the first read through, you pick it up on the second one, which is just amazing as well.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that. It's that's what I love about books. Hey, I guess that's why we're working in the writing and editing field, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, what do you recommend writers look for when they're looking for an editor?
Okay, expertise, experience. Obviously, you want to know that the person you're working with is good.
Yep.
Um, I would also say you need to know that you can work together, that you can actually have a working relationship.
Oh, sure.
You'd probably pick this up during preliminary communication.
Yep.
You would be able to see pretty easily, hey, I'm not quite getting this person, or so you really want to look at that. I would also say, if you can, ask for a sample edit.
Okay.
Even if you have to pay a small fee for it, ask for a sample edit. That will give you a very, very good idea. Can I actually work with this person? Are they going to help me towards what I want? And you definitely want to be working with someone who is going to help you achieve your goals.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you need to work with somebody who's aiming in the same direction as you.
Oh, totally. That is just wonderful. And so then, where can writers find you? And we can share your new website if you want. And
Absolutely.
if you have the URL for that, and then I will
I
share that
do.
in the description as well. And any social media links that you want to share, I'll share those too.
Okay. So the website is Edit with Claire.
Okay.
Claire spelled Claire. I've got all the letters in there.
It's a beautiful spelling though.
Absolutely. I often feel like I'm Anne of Green Gables sometimes.
Right, and
Hi, I'm
plus it
Claire,
has
and
a
it's got
book
all
there.
the letters.
Yes. It just looks finished and beautiful with that E, you know? It's so true.
It
Anna
does.
Tables, it works. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is my website. I think the best place on social media to connect with me, the place I'm most active, is Instagram. So my editing handle is Claire Tucker _editor. And if you want to see what's up on my writing as well, it's Claire Tucker _writer.
Okay.
So I'd say those are the best places to get hold of me.
Perfect. Wonderful. Well, I will share all that in the description below. And I'm super excited. Thank you so much for agreeing to do a fun little interview here. And it's going to be super fun to share it with everyone.
Well, thank you for inviting me. It's been absolutely great.